Long ago, in a small village deep in Zimbabwe, there lived a Musa family, just a husband and wife, yet they lived like no other. Their home stood near the river where the soil was dark and fertile, where crops grew thick and cattle fattened with ease. They owned vast land, herds of sleek cows, and every kind of farm animal. In wealth, they had no equal, and in envy, they had no rival. Every villager wished for what the Musas possessed, their house, their fields, their prosperity. But wealth was not their only gift. The Musa family were known far and wide as healers. From neighboring villages, people came to their doorstep. The sick were cured, the mad were restored, those hungry for riches found sudden fortune, and the tormented were delivered. To the villagers, they seemed touched by the spirits themselves. Yet, beneath their smiles, the Musas carried a darkness. They were not what they seemed. At times, they vanished without a word, disappearing for days, sometimes weeks. No one knew where they went, and no one dared to ask. Still, the villagers admired them, though whispers of unease floated on the night air. But in that same village lived a man named Tapua, a jack of all trades. Tapua was the finest hunter, a skilled farmer, and a man of wealth in his own right. But it was never enough. His eyes burned with greed. Whenever he looked toward the Musa home, he wanted their land. He wanted their house. He wanted everything they owned. One evening, as Tapua sat drinking traditional beer with his friends, his desire spilled from his tongue. With a boastful grin, he declared, "I can already see myself owning that land. My crops growing tall, my children running through that house by the river. It is meant to be mine." His friends grew uneasy. One leaned closer and whispered, "But Tapua, those people are not ordinary. They keep secrets, deep ones. And you know they have never sold that land to anyone, no matter how many beg for it." Tapua only laughed, his pride swelling. "They will give it to me, one way or another." The next day, he marched to the chief's homestead. In every Zimbabwean village, the chief rules over the land, who may claim it, who may not. When Tapua spoke his desire, the chief's expression turned grave. "Not that land, Tapua," the chief warned. "Choose another, any other, but not theirs. The Musas are good for this village. Their healing keeps us strong. We cannot afford to lose them." But Tapua's greed knew no boundaries. He leaned forward, his voice low and desperate. "I'll do anything you ask, in exchange for that land." The chief hesitated, but soon his resolve crumbled. Promises were made, bribes exchanged. The chief, against his own better judgment, agreed, and with a heavy heart, he set out to speak with the Musa family on Tapua's behalf. When the chief arrived, he was greeted with the same warm smiles that had charmed the village for years. "Welcome, my chief," Mr. Musa said, bowing his head slightly. "My wife and I were expecting you." The chief sat heavily, his face lined with unease. He wasted no time with pleasantries. "I have come a request," he began. "Your land is of great importance to this village. I will compensate you, give you another fertile plot, even in a neighboring village if you wish. You will not suffer. But this land, it must change hands." The Musa couple exchanged a long, unreadable glance. For a moment, the room seemed to still, the river outside murmuring faintly through the silence. Finally, Mrs. Musa spoke softly. "It is well, my chief. You are the one who rules this land. We have no choice." Mr. Musa's smile remained, though his eyes gleamed with something unspoken. "We only ask for time to say goodbye to our home." The chief nodded, relieved. 2 days later, he returned, this time with Tapua. As the chief presented him, Mr. Musa's gaze lingered on the man with unsettling calm. "Tapua," he said, his voice smooth as the river at midnight, "please take care of this land. Take care of this house. They have been good to us." Tapua puffed out his chest, grinning. "Don't worry, it's in good hands." And just like that, the Musa family departed. They vanished quietly, moving to another village. Their beautiful home and fertile land now belonged to Tapua. He wasted no time. Day and night, he worked the soil, planting maize, groundnuts, and beans. His cattle grazed the fields. The rains came. The soil was rich. Everything should have flourished. But when harvest time arrived, there was nothing. The fields that had once yielded overflowing baskets for the Musa family stood barren. Stalks withered before they could ripen. Leaves curled black at the edges, and the ground seemed to reject every seed he buried in it. The villagers began to murmur. Strange, I used to see the Musa's fields heavy with grain, yet now there is nothing. He bought that land only for it to die under his hands. A waste. Others shook their heads knowingly. The Musas cursed the land before they left. That house, that soil, it belongs to no one but them. And as the whispers grew, so did the unease. For at night, when the moon was high and the wind carried voices to the reeds by the river, Tapua swore he could hear something moving in the empty fields, something breathing where no man should be. One day, driven by frustration and suspicion, Tapua set out to find the Musa family. He traveled to the village where the chief said they had settled, but when he arrived, the house was empty. The walls stood cold and abandoned, as if no one had ever lived there. He asked the neighbors, but they only shook their heads. The Musas stayed here only a few days, one old woman told him. Then they vanished in the night. No one knows where they went. Unease twisted in Tapua's stomach. He returned home that evening, the silence of the river pressing heavy on his mind. That night, as he lay in bed, a voice shattered the quiet. Your stubbornness, your greed, this is what brought you here. Tapua jolted awake, his body drenched in sweat. He turned quickly, but his wife slept peacefully at his side, her breathing steady. He pressed a trembling hand to his chest and whispered to himself, just a dream, only a dream. But sleep never returned. The next morning, restless and haunted, he sat outside his house, staring at the river. The mist clung low across its surface, curling like pale fingers. Then he saw her. A woman stood by the water, her shoulders trembling, her hands covering her face as she wept. Tapua rose and walked cautiously toward her. Sister, are you well? He called gently. She did not look at him. Her voice was soft, broken. My parents, I cannot find my parents. Tapua glanced around the riverbank. Where do they stay? I can help you search for them. At that, the woman lowered her hands. Slowly, her lips curled into a smile too wide, too cold. A sound slipped from her throat, not weeping now, but a chuckle, hollow and wrong. Before Tapua could speak again, she turned and plunged into the river with unnatural grace. The water splashed, and in an instant her form twisted and shimmered, skin glistening into scales. A long, glistening tail slapped against the water. Tapua stumbled backward, eyes wide, his breath caught in his throat. The woman had become a mermaid, and from the depths of the river, her laughter echoed, mingling with the rush of the current, filling the air with a sound that was neither human nor animal, only hungry. Tapua burst into the house, his chest heaving. His wife, busy stirring the pot over the fire, turned sharply. Are you all right? She asked, startled by the wild look in his eyes. He pointed toward the river, his hand trembling. A mermaid, he gasped. By the river. She spoke to me, I swear it. His wife froze, then frowned. A mermaid? Here? In this village? In that river? Stop your nonsense, Tapua. She shook her head and returned to her cooking, muttering under her breath. But Tapua couldn't shake the image. The woman's cold smile, the scales, the tail vanishing into the depths. That night, as they sat together by the fire in the courtyard, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness. A man. His voice was calm, almost too calm, as he stepped forward. Excuse me, he said. The smoke from your fire, it is too much. Put it out. Tapua frowned, confused. He looked at the fire, watched the smoke curl harmlessly into the night sky. Why would anyone complain about smoke that disappears into the air? It doesn't even reach another homestead, he muttered to his wife. But before she could reply, a sudden rush of water poured from the roof above, cold, heavy, and unnatural. It crashed down upon the fire, extinguishing the flames in an instant. The courtyard was swallowed by darkness. Startled, they stumbled into their bedroom, slamming the door shut. No words were spoken, but Tapawa's wife's heart pounded in her chest. She had seen enough. She didn't understand what haunted the land, but she knew one thing for certain. She wanted no part of it. Silently, as her husband sat in brooding thought, she made her decision. At dawn, she would leave. Meanwhile, Tapawa sat in the darkness, staring at the blackened hearth. His mind swirled with the memory of the mermaid, the strange man, the water from the roof. He knew now something was wrong with the house. Something was wrong with the land. And the worst part, the mooses had vanished. No one knew where they were. No one knew what they had left behind. At dawn, Tapawa stormed into the chief's homestead, his face pale, his eyes sunken with sleeplessness. "First the land rejects my seeds," he said breathlessly. "And now, mermaids, voices in the night, water falling from the roof. My wife has left me out of fear. Chief, something is terribly wrong." The chief stared at him in silence for a long, heavy moment. Then with a sigh, he said, "This is beyond us. We must seek spiritual guidance." Together they set off toward the mountain healer, a place where whispers of the ancestors still walked among men. There, in a small shrine, they found Namo, a young boy whose frail body often shook with the weight of spirits that spoke through him. When Tapawa bowed low and pleaded, "Great One, we seek your help," Namo's body convulsed violently. His eyes rolled back and his voice deepened, carrying the weight of something ancient. "Your stubbornness, your greed," the boy growled, his head snapping side to side. "You forced their land from them. You bribed to claim what was not yours. That house, that soil, it does not belong to you. Return it, and pray they forgive you. For the mooses, they are not what you think they are." Tapawa's chest tightened. He nodded slowly, feeling a crushing burden pressing upon his shoulders. He left the shrine and, filled with desperation, sought the mooses once more. And this time he found them. They were home, sitting calmly in their courtyard, as though they had never vanished at all. Tapawa knelt low before them. "I am here to return the land," he pleaded. "I was wrong. Please take it back." Mr. Musa chuckled, a low, bitter sound that chilled Tapawa to his bones. "Why now?" he asked. "You used power to steal it. You bribed the chief, knowing we could not resist him. And now you come crawling back." His eyes darkened, the smile on his lips sharp and cruel. "We do not want it back," he said flatly. Then, rising suddenly, he pointed toward the gate. "Leave. Leave this place." Tapawa staggered his feet, his throat dry, his chest hollow. As he stepped away, he felt the weight of unseen eyes watching him from every corner of the Musa homestead, as though something, many things, were waiting just beyond the veil of sight. And he understood then, with growing horror, that returning the land would not save him. The Musa's secret was larger, darker, and older than he'd ever imagined. Night fell, heavy and suffocating, though Tapawa dreaded the thought of closing his eyes. He sat alone in his bedroom, every creak of the house magnified, every whisper of the wind unsettling. Then he heard them, voices, clear, calling his name. It was not a dream this time. His legs moved on their own, pulling him toward the river. The moon shone silver over the water, and there they were, the mermaids. Their long hair floated like smoke, their eyes glistening with grief. They were crying, their voices weaving into the night air like a spell. "We can't find our parents. We can't find our parents." Tapawa froze. His heart thudded in his chest. Then a terrible thought clawed its way into his mind. What if the mooses were their parents? As if they had heard his unspoken words, the mermaids turned to him, their voices rising in unison, echoing across the water. "Because of your greed, you took our parents away from us. For that, you will lose your sanity. No one can ever restore it. Only they had the power, and you destroyed it." A madness snapped inside him. Tapawa threw back his head and laughed, a wild, hollow sound that cut through the night. He ran through the village barefoot, muttering, shouting, then laughing again. "Your stubbornness, your greed," he cried as he staggered into the market at dawn, his eyes wild, his mind broken. Villagers whispered. Mothers pulled their children away. Men shook their heads. They all knew. Tapawa was finished. From that day, No one dared touch the Musa land. The fields remained green, the cows always seemed fed, the fences always mended. Yet no human hand was ever seen tending them. The land still stands, beautiful and cursed, guarded by the unseen. And in the still of the night, if you listen closely by the river, you might still hear the mermaids weeping for their lost parents. Thank you for watching.